We need to talk about the B players on your team. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This is a guy who spends all his time talking about high-performing teams. Why are we talking about B players, average performers? Isn't a high-performing team composed of all highest performers, people who can make 10x contributions? Not exactly. I've seen this play out in real teams again and again. It's your B players that may be the reason your company survives the next crisis. And it's your B players that are probably the reason your high-performing team is humming right now. Contrary to what you might believe, high-performing teams are not composed of entirely high performers. They're composed of a few A players and a lot of really good B players. You want to know why? Stay tuned. If you're new to the channel, my name is David Burkus, and I study high-performing teams and work with leaders to build their best team ever. If you're looking to grow as a leader, or you're looking to help your team navigate the ever-changing workplace, then subscribe to the channel with the button down below, or better yet, find the link in the description for our email newsletter community. All right, let's get into it. Here's what we get wrong about our teams. We over-glorify the A players. Yeah, they're the most visible. They're the ones who are charismatic. They're the ones whose performance is always getting recognized. That's all true. They're the ones who move fast and break things, but they also break things. They're unstable. They have a tendency to burn out faster. They change jobs and go for better opportunities sooner. And if you're not careful, they also tend to be the ones that create a toxic culture on your team. So sure, they might be the reason your team's performing, but they also might be the reason your team is falling apart. Now, B players, they're consistent, they're reliable, they're supportive, they're often doing all of that work that doesn't necessarily get recognized. They're not shouting it from the rooftops like the A players because, well, they don't want what the A players want. The A players want the extra pay, the promotions, the recognitions. The B players like their job. They want to come, put in the time, do good work, and be rewarded with more of the same work. Climbing the corporate ladder sounds horrible to them. They don't want the extra responsibility, the extra promotion. They don't want to leave the cool job they're in just to manage people who are doing the cool job that they had to leave to do it. Not everybody wants the same thing out of their working agreement with their company. And that's okay. So what do we do with the B players? How do we keep them engaged? How do we reward them? How do we show that we're still supporting them, even if they don't want the career path that, let's be honest, we built our HR organization around? How do we keep them engaged when they don't want to go up? They just want to stay where they are and do good work. Now, here's a concept you may have never heard of, but one that we in org-psych joke about all of the time. The Peter Principle, from Dr. Lawrence Peter. When he was growing up, he trusted authority, assumed organizations were lean and efficient and the best way to do things. And when he became an adult, he felt like organizations were, well, full of idiots. But it's not that they're full of idiots.
The Peter Principle states very simply that in any hierarchy, an employee tends to rise to his level of incompetence, and that's where he stays.
Think about it. You come into the organization, you do a good job, you get promoted. You do a good job there, you get promoted again. You're no longer doing a good job, you don't get demoted, right? That would be unkind. You just stay in that job that you don't do that well, and you don't get the ability to win another promotion. So he observed that in every hierarchy, it feels like an idiotic bureaucracy because everybody tends to rise to the level where they're incompetent. Over and over, as he looked in different organizations, he saw the same pattern. The skilled mechanic would take a promotion and become a floundering foreman. A great salesperson would get promoted and become a paper-pushing sales manager. A skilled and sophisticated engineer would totally fall apart in a supervisory role as the engineering manager. It wasn't that these folks were incompetent, it was that their competence brought them into a new role they weren't trained for, weren't ready for, and a lot of times didn't even really want to do. That's what's amazing about these B players. They sensed it before. They knew, hey, I like my job and the company car, the corner office, the extra pay. It's not worth leaving work that I'm competent in and I'm engaged in just to do work, supervisory work, watching the people who did the job I liked. It's not worth it. I'm not taking the bait. I'm not rising to the level of my incompetence. Not everyone wants to become a manager, and that's okay. We just need to have a plan for it. B players come in different types. Some are former A players who decided to step off the fast track. They've got the goods, they know how to do amazing work, but they don't want to go up. They don't want the additional time commitments. They actually value work-life balance, family, friends, that sort of thing. And others are so committed to the mission that they're not interested in the office politics. These are the truth tellers, the ones you can rely on to tell it like it is and make the right call in almost every situation. And some of them just don't have a path, but they are the people that connect everyone else. These are the ones that can help you navigate through all sorts of complex informal networks, and who knows who's really there. These are the Miss Sylvias. For the 10 years I taught in business school, Miss Sylvia was the office admin. And I learned pretty quickly that it didn't matter who was dean, who was chair, who was what. If Miss Sylvia wanted it to happen, it would happen. This is why you need to get to know them well. Not just what they do, but who they are, and hence what type of B player they are. So often we focus a bit too much on the A players because they make themselves visible. There's a number of other reasons too. Maybe they're introverted, maybe they're remote. There are a lot of reasons to overlook B players, but don't. Being a great leader is about seeing everyone, not just the people that make themselves visible all of the time. As a manager, it's your job to make sure every voice on the team is heard, and that you're giving opportunities to people that are aligned with their skills and their passions. Be aware of any unintentional biases that creep up. We tend to pay most attention to the people who talk the loudest about their achievements, but it's the stuff we don't notice that often really gets work done. Work is teamwork. All the easy problems in life have been solved. If they weren't, then you wouldn't be managing as many people as you are. So let's make sure that everybody you're responsible for is doing the work that aligns with their skills, aligns with their passions, and is having input in the work in a way that makes the whole team better. Here's something a lot of leaders miss about their B players. They're often waiting for a green light. They're not uncertain. They know their skills, they know their abilities. Heck, most of the time, they know the best way to approach whatever tasks they've been assigned, but they're also respectful. They're not wanting to jump the gun. They're not wanting to risk going over or around you. And so they're going to wait to hear from you about what they should do, sometimes wait long after they already know what to do. So what they need here isn't clear direction from you. They need permission to act on the instincts that they have. They need permission to go do the great work they already know how to do. What does that permission look like? Well, if you want your B players to take bolder steps in meetings, on projects, whatever, tell them, I trust you. Go for it. I know it sounds simple, but those 6 words are a game changer. It's not about micromanaging less, it's about empowerment. It's about sending the message that their judgment is trusted and their decisions matter, and they don't need to check with you before they make most of them. One of the most overlooked ways to engage and retain your B players is deceptively simple. Give them a path, a real path, a visible one that aligns with what work they want to do and who they are. Not a path that we tend to build, which is climb the corporate ladder and start managing people. Remember the Peter principle? That's not gonna work for everybody. Most companies treat career advancement like a single staircase, a linear, upward-only path into management. You wanna make more money, you wanna have more influence, manage people. Whether or not you want to do it, whether or not you're even good at it, it's the only path available to you at most organizations. But let me ask you this, have you ever promoted a top individual contributor into management only to watch them struggle? They were doing great work in their role, and now they're sitting in meetings, they're making budget decisions, they're filling out endless performance evaluations. They're doing everything but the thing that made them great in the first place. And maybe I just described you. If I did, let me know in the comments below. This is why we need a parallel track for the B players, or honestly anyone who wants to advance, wants to feel like they're making progress in their career, but doesn't want to manage people. Some of these roles already exist. Organizations have things like principal engineer, lead strategist, senior specialist, internal consultant. These aren't made up titles. They're not exceptions we made for one people. They're strategic decisions to reward expertise and encourage people to grow without asking them to do work that they're not suited for. Now, you may or may not be able to create that path depending on your own power in the company, but you can still bring them along a path that helps them feel progress. You can still ask them things about what they love doing and help them do more of it and grow better in it. Don't assume you know, ask. Ask questions like, what part of your job do you wish you could do more of? Where do you want to grow this year? If I could redesign your job description to do more of what you're good at and what you love doing, what would that look like? You'll be amazed at what you learn when you just ask and listen. And you'll be amazed how much you can do to give them more of the work that they want to do and keep them engaged. Remember, we don't build high-performing teams just by stockpiling superstars. We do it by creating a team where everyone, even the B players, can thrive. And since you're going to be asking a lot of questions of them, you may want to check out this video here on active listening as a leader so that you can figure out what they want, how to help them do more of it. And hey, you might even find that a few of those B players that get to do more of the work they love turn into A players who've always been there.